So welcome to the next episode. I've lost count of which episode we're on, but welcome to the next episode of the NRG podcast, The Horse That Asked Why, and other stories. Before we announce our next guest, who I have to say I'm a big fan of, been watching for years, big fan of the various teams that he's played with, so an absolute joy to have him on the podcast. But before we get to that, we'll just do a quick round the houses. Glenda, what is going on? Where are you? What's going on?
Morning all from around the world. Quite cool. We've got Australia, Argentina, Norway, and New Zealand represented on the podcast this morning. We are at Garanga at the moment, playing some challenges each weekend on our 2016-17 horses, which is a lot of fun. Bit of a shout out to a lot of our friends that are along the rivers and stuff around Australia. There's been so much rain out here. We've got people that are literally underwater and things that they've never ever seen, like in the history of their area. So a bit of a shout out to those guys. It's quite brutal, the amount of damage that's been doing. It's just been ripping up roads and bridges, and just even around here where we are, the floods that came through the other day took out 2 bridges on main arterial roads, and they're not able to be passed now. So it's pretty brutal. But anyway, we'll move on, and as we do, we'll crack on and get it done. So.
Beautiful. Roscoe?
Tough breed Australians. They endure. The actually, I've got a question. Sorry to go down a rabbit hole straight off the bat, but actually a lot of people have said that they want to hear a podcast just on June, that have been listening to Stuart Gilmore's Grizzlies podcast. I mean, and the other thing I've been getting, I'm just looking at Glenn Stubble there, and I'm thinking I've never really seen that. But what I also had brought up this week is a lot of people commenting about your massive mop of dark brown hair, Glenn.
It's ginger.
Right.
It's quite a. I've never thought
ginger.
about it.
It's ginger.
It's quite a feature.
What, am I supposed to have lost my hair by now, or has it gone grey, or what?
I don't know. We're all going grey. But no, I just thought I've never thought about it. I was quite impressed with your hair. But anyway, I'm getting off track. Things are good.
You're a bloody weirdo, mate.
Good. I'm back in New Zealand. Yes, I'm back in New Zealand. I don't know. Have we spoken since then? Since I got back from India and Singapore and Australia and stuff?
Yeah, probably. Sadly we have spoken. Yeah.
All right, let's get on with the guest. Can't wait for it.
Yeah, and it's not grey. It's not grey. It's Arctic steel, and the old solar panels are coming on. There, look at that. That's coming on nice. And the badger. Look right. Yeah, and thanks for asking how I'm doing, fellas. I'm doing great. Cheers. So,
how's Taya? More to the point.
Well, she's prolapsed a disc in her back, so she's making a bit of a fuss out of it, to be honest.
You're a hard man.
Yeah.
You're not going to survive the podcast.
No, I'm not going to survive. I'm just checking my marks to see if she's going to come windmilling through the door, wielding an axe. But she reckons she's got a couple more weeks before she can start mucking out. So yeah, it's all hands to the pump at the moment. Ready in preparation for the big freeze, but there we go. So much more importantly, and Glenn, very good point. I think this is one of the biggest time difference spreads that we've managed on the podcast. Yeah, I think we're. I think the one we did with Dan when he was in Montana might be slightly more, but the rest of it is so. Thanks for everybody for making this happen. So on to our guest. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce best looking. We've had a lot of really good looking blokes on this podcast. It's it's quite sobering actually. I'd like to introduce Mr. Charlie Hanbury. Charlie, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
Very good for you to be here. Glenda, if you can just run us through some introductions and career highlights. Hopefully you've got them right this time.
Did a bit of digging and tried to find out some information. And Mr. Charlie Hanbury started off his polo in the Pony Club with his brother, and also with Ollie and Matt Cudmore, and they went off and played some Jorrocks and had a bit of fun doing that. And then he's gone on to be the 2009 Best Young UK Player, winning the Ronald Ferguson Trophy. He's gone right through, married Johanna, and let me get this right, German princess, am I right?
German, yeah, from Germany, yes, yeah.
Fantastic, yes, and 3 gorgeous girls. And whenever you Google your name, Charlie, it comes up about having to deliver Katinka on the side of the highway, on the side of the M4. That must have been something.
Yeah, that was quite an exciting, exciting January. 2 years ago. Yeah, that was a good one.
How did that go, mate? What the hell? Tell us about that.
Not great time management for a German wife, but we figured we would make it. No, so we're probably an hour from the hospital where we were sort of planning on having and had our second child. And Joanna's first baby, Cara, she took about 4 hours, 5 hours. Cressida took about 3. We figured it'd be maybe a little bit longer, to be honest. Apparently, third babies are normally a bit longer, but nope. Took about 45 minutes from waters breaking to. I managed to get to junction 9 on the M4 before I realised that we weren't going to make the last 9. And yeah, so pulled over. And yeah, we had an ambulance on the phone, and we had the hospital on the phone as well that we were trying to get to. And to be honest, we were trying to pull over a bit earlier, but there were a load of workmen and everything in one part. Joanna said, "Just stop here." I was like, "Not a chance in hell."
No,
so I'm delivering a baby in front of 12 cheering workmen in high vis. So
in high vis.
we went on to the junction and pulled up onto the side of the sort of just as off the roundabout there. And to be totally honest, I mean, couldn't have gone worse. It was directly underneath the sign that says "Welcome to Slough," which we thought was hysterical. I mean, of all the places to be born, we were hoping it wasn't going to be Slough, but hey. No, luckily we were lucky. It all went well, and yeah, here we are 2 years later almost.
So a prolific breeder of fillies yourself of horses.
I think it probably helped. So it probably helped that I pulled a few foals out over time. So
exactly,
wasn't quite as daunting for me as it could have been for others. Yeah.
Oh my god. So yes, a prolific breeder of fillies, and yourself having 3 girls with Cara, Cressida, and Katinka. And mate, you've gone on and had one of the coolest things from playing Pony Club with Ollie Cudmore right through to winning the Gold Cup in 2018 with Buy Me and Harps. Like, that's just such a cool thing. You've gone on, we'll talk about that a bit later. And then you've gone on to now be a stunning breeder of horses with the Lovelocks breed. I believe last year alone, selling 5 or 6 of the 10 goalers in the UK season, which is incredible, and also watching all your horses go and playing the Argentine Open. Mate, you've played polo all around the world, and it's an absolute pleasure to have you on. Looking forward to getting a good chat. You've got a bit of dirt on you that we might talk about in a little bit.
I'm sure there'll be some.
Glenn, I just wanted to clarify, is that a stunning breeder of horses, or is that a breeder of stunning horses?
Stunning breeder of stunning horses.
Yeah.
Too many stunnings.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a cunning stunt.
Oh,
Ross, close.
Where did you go with that?
No. Right. Moving on before it really derails. So we've got a load of questions. We fired them to you, Charlie, and you've had I know you've had a chance to have a look at them. So as Glenn mentioned, talk us a little bit about how you first got into horses in general, and then polo specifically.
So I'd grown up at home with horses. My father played a bit. He started at Siren Ag College, learned a bit there, and then in the army did a bit. He became equerry to the Sultan of Brunei and ended up out there. And sort of one day the Sultan said to something he wanted to sort of learn about polo. So Dad, on a couple of the sort of local horses they had there, took the Sultan out stick and balling. I mean, it would have been the blind leading the blind, but it got the Sultan right into it. And well, a few years later, you suddenly had all the fields and Gerardon Polo Club and the sort of best players in the world going out over there with them. Then obviously, at the stage I hadn't been born. I was born in '86 when they were back in England. And yeah, so Dad at that stage was still playing up in Cirencester. In the early 90s, he set up Longdale Polo Club, which Rob Cudmore ran for him. And so I sort of grew up behind the stands at Cirencester Park watching Dad's Lovelocks team playing with Rob. and numerous others. And yeah, so hand sticks on the side behind the stands with Matt and Ollie Cudmore and my brother George. From that into Pony Club Polo. And believe it or not, Dad and sort of Rob's joke with Mum and Sue was always that the four of us would go on to win the Gold Cup together.
Yeah, amazing.
And then I mean, amazingly, didn't quite work out like that, the four of us, but the two of us were there, and the other two were on the sideline. And but no, it's a bit of a dream that came true, really, for those guys. It was great.
What year did the Sultan get those lessons with your dad initially?
Oh,
around?
God, no, you've absolutely got me there. I wouldn't have a clue. It'll be somewhere. It would have been early 80s.
Yeah.
It would have been early 80s, maybe late 70s.
Right. And then how long? So that's when that, and then it ended up having all the Heggies working for them, and
yeah. So the first people sort of Dad went over there. Dad had Jack Williams, Roddy's grandfather, and Paul Pires, John McDonough, and then it ended up with the likes of Eduardo Moore and all that lot. And then all the Pires, all the Heggies, all started to come on over after that. But yeah, yeah, quite a setup back then, I believe. It would have been
amazing,
good fun, good chuckers.
I just punched my microphone there. How long was your father the equerry to the Sultan for then?
Officially, I don't know what the official year. I mean, but he did it from the day he went to sort of basically to the day he died. I don't know at what stage it stopped being official, but he ended up after sort of he left the army and everything else, and left his post in Brunei, which would have been 84, 85, somewhere there. He then sort of did it on an unofficial basis, sort of, yeah.
So what that I actually hadn't thought about that. So he was not only like, because you guys were an amazing polo brand and achieved amazing things, but he actually did it. That was his second run at it. Like he was,
Dad,
he was involved
so I mean, officially, sort of Dad sort of started off polo in Brunei. I mean, if you look at the Gonzalo Tenoira Road here in Argentina, you go down the road and you've got the Garahans, the Pires, the McDonoughs. I mean, that road, basically every single person there built their farms after Brunei.
Wow.
And it was all yeah. No, Dad was very, very cool with that. That was an incredible incredible time, achievement. I mean, right place, right time.
It's a massive impact on the world polo community. Those two huge polo brands. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, proud of that. That was a cool one, yeah.
One of the great things that happened with the Brunei Jeradong Park time was when he had all the Heggies. Did he talk about that a lot, Dad?
Yeah, so he was Dad never really spoke too much about it. I mean, I remember as a kid going out there and watching, they'd organise tournaments and things over there, and Dad would be playing in one team and the Sultan would be on the other, and that was sort of how they did. They became very good mates, and so it would be done like that. And you'd chuck in a few Heggies there, a couple of Pires there, McDonough's there, whatever, and they'd do these sort of weekend tournaments and things like that. I mean, amazing. So as a kid watching that growing up, I mean, and the fields out there and everything else it was top done to the top specs.
That's awesome. That was one of the first times I ever got into a media type of. There was a bus. No, it wasn't even a bus. It was a huge semi-trailer parked at Cowth Park, and they were videoing the games. And I'd never seen anything like this. So I felt like I was back in my days. It was like the cricket guys when KP was doing World Series cricket, and they were going, go to that camera, go to that camera. So they had 4 or 5 cameras around the field, and I was in there and I was going, right, go to that guy because he's going to hit a penalty for, take that camera. And it was just, I was like a director in there. It was an incredible thing to be able to do. It was so much fun.
That's so good. And where does the name, if you don't forgive my asking, where does the name Lovelocks come from?
So Lovelocks is our family home. So in Hungerford there, where my parents bought it in '85, and it just stuck. So Dad had his team Lovelocks that played up in Cirencester, and then it carried on with the sort of breed, and the breed sort of obviously when we moved to Argentina, we came out here in 2008 and started to breed here then, and that was you're asked straight away sort of as a prefix when you register your foals that you have what you're going to register them as, and we went straight away with Lovelocks, and then it became sort of global brand basically between here and there and everywhere. No, so it's Lovelocks everything.
Yeah, the NRG prefix is going to be chasing it down in a couple of years. 100%.
Perfect.
the new kids on the block by these old crippled lame blokes who are putting stuff together. But yeah, I mean, which brings us onto the horses, which I know is a huge passion. What was it, having come from so much contact with all of those guys from Argentina and the sort of the people who are the leading lights in UK polo as well? What made you suddenly go, right, we're going to go off and we're going to do our own breed? What was the thought process behind that?
So we'd always at home, in Longdale in Cirencester at the polo club we had there, we'd always retrained Irish thoroughbreds that we got off the track. We'd go out to Ireland every year and bring sort of 10, 12 mares over and break them in or re-break them in, and then carry them on. We had a bit of luck with that, and me as probably a fairly naive 18, 19-year-old sort of said, you probably, with embryo transfer sort of kicked in into 2008, and we sort of said then that maybe you're going to have more success if you pick your best 3 or 4 mares and you have foals from them rather than selecting off the track on type and things and go from there. Sure. So, it was the idea was that, it would maybe save us some money, which in hindsight, far down that rabbit hole now. But no, that was the sort of idea. I mean, we had, Rob Cudmore was our sort of lead guy in Cirencester, and him and his team did all the breaking and retraining of these thoroughbreds, and we had a lot of success. We had 3 or 4 go to the Argentine Open that did well. We had Jupiter, a very famous mare that went with Elastina that they're still using she's our great grand dam or something. And
I played her when they were trying her. Elliston was KP was still going then. I actually played her in Chuckers when she was on trial.
Cool. I remember you saying you couldn't ride one side of her or something, wasn't it, Ross?
I think Brazil was there as well.
Brazil, yeah. Brazil.
From you guys.
Yeah, she broke down out there, didn't she? She didn't ever make it to it. I think she broke before she got there.
No.
And then Cabernet that Javier Navija Strada played. And Ronaldo of Lolo's. He called it Ronaldo. We called it Nike, and he changed the name when it got here. But that was a machine for him as well. But so we'd had some success, but sort of figured that that the embryo process, you could guarantee more success. So out of your 10 or 12, you'd hopefully get 10 or 12 that would make the sort of level. Whereas with the retraining of racehorses, sometimes you don't quite get there, and you don't quite get the same results was the plan. Hindsight, having done what I've done, doing embryos and things, I think I probably made the right decision myself for me, because it's a passion. I'm obsessed with the fact that I'm playing. I've got a couple of horses still that are sort of 4th generation that Dad used to play the mother of, which is mad. I mean, he basically started. So I'm rambling now, but no, he started in 1991 with an old mare of his, mare called Joycey. It was a half Cleveland Bay thing that he used to ploddle around in Cirencester on. And when it retired, he said, right, well, we'll have a foal for it. So we had a foal a year for the first. They all ended up. We sent them to Lisa Llewellyn Palmer's. She had a sire there, and it got knocked up by the teaser.
Knocked up by the teaser.
Yeah. We actually then ended up using the teaser for about 8 years. Prince of Spain was his name. But yeah, so we had a fair few there. I don't know. Rob Cudmore had a famous horse called Bertie. That was another Joycey out of Joycey by the Prince of Spain, famous in the Cirencester area, that one. But yeah, so it all changes now. And then 2008 kicked in, and instead of 1 foal a year, we moved it up, and sort of it was 8 to 10, and then yeah.
So Charlie, I spoke to Ollie last night a little bit about you and asked a few things, and he said there's a couple of things you got to know about Charlie. His passion
shit.
for the breeding is incredible. He did say some other things that we'll get to maybe later on. He said he reckons if you'd have applied yourself at school, you probably would have done quite well, because his memory and knowledge of the bloodlines is incredible, both in polo and racing. So even just listening to you then recount those names and all those sort of things, do you follow the racing game a lot?
So we as a family, we have a stud in Ireland. It all started off, my grandmother used to, where my father's from, though he was from Ireland. So they had, in Ireland, they had a few brood mares, and, you know, the idea would be that every year, if they got lucky, they'd send them off to the sales. And then when she died, my old man went in there and we ended up buying a few more mares. So we've got 3 more studdets in Ireland, County Meath, about an hour south of Dublin, and we've got 14 brood mares there. And yeah, literally breed them, take them to the sales, sell them, put the odd one into racing. But no, mainly it's sell straight away. Sadly, I'm trying to learn it all now, but my knowledge of polo breeding is up there, and my racing one, I'm sort of a new boy trying to learn them all. It's like going back to school and having to relearn a dictionary that you
But that's just Nick.
So, Joe, we had a bit of back and forth just before you went to Argentina, and you had some you were taking some horses to the sales. Did that go well?
Yes, yeah. So we had a load. We had a few in Ireland, Goston, Ireland. Sold a couple there, and then we had 6 at Tatterstall's Book One at the beginning of October. No, we managed to sell them all, which for me is a success. Don't have to take anything home or put them into training, so that's great.
Brilliant outcome.
And no, they all went, and to the right places. So fingers crossed next year we'll see a few of them doing some bits and bobs.
Have you got more questions on racing, Nick?
I think it was Glenn, actually, Ross. Glenn's next. No, Glenn's next.
Row. Probably you would, Ross. But was Atlantic your first stallion that you bought in, Charlie? Is that right?
Yeah. Yes, that's correct. Yeah. So that year, trying to think, it would have been 2007, 2008, somewhere there he would have arrived. 2008 he arrived. I know that because the first lot of his foals. Yeah. So 2007 he came to England. It was bought between the Cubmores and us. We did 50-50 on him. Rob had seen him out in Oz. Jim had sort of convinced us to buy him, and so over he came. I know.
So just tell everyone he's breeding.
He's Revenue Numia.
Numia was out of Fiji.
So he was a really nice horse. He played a lot at the beginning with us in England, and then over here in Argentina with Ollie Cubmore. And then he retired to breed. He's actually out here at the moment. We sold him a couple of years ago to Matthias Magrini, who's still using him to breed at the moment. But actually, he's the sire of Classify and Clarify that Lucas Monteverde and Pelon Sterling own, both by Claret, because Atlantic came to England that summer and covered Claret, did a couple of embryos, and they both bought the colts.
And I think, hang on. But Atlantic was Revenue. Revenue was by Monty, and Claret was
Monty
by Monty.
sold.
Yeah.
Claret.
No, Claret was Monty Pinky, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Revenue.
There's a little bit of line breeding going on there.
Yeah, they're a bit close there. Yeah, but saying that's Australian a bit close. It's
maybe
not
that's
quite
what
works.
And so one of your famous ones that you've got is Lovelock Sex, which is Atlantic.
She's here. Yeah, Atlantic Summer, South African thoroughbred I bought from Stonefield Polo. Yeah. And that's playing with Natchi.
Stonefield, is that Moose? Is Stonefield Moose? Who's Stonefield?
Stonefield Polo, Leo Baxter, was it?
Oh, Leo. I remember Leo.
So
remember playing all these horses in South Africa, Glenn?
Yeah.
They all came over. They had the giant SP on the side of the shoulder that was branded about 10 times too big so that he could always see it, was what he said.
Where'd you come up?
So she was the sort of first mare. That was the first sort of the top one that I'd sort of bred myself in England, and I enjoyed it. I used to love it. The thing, to be honest, I don't know how sort of great its mouth is compared to some of the other ones I've done since, but she gets on well with Barto. Bought her 2 years ago. I played her for 5 or 6 years in England, and then when I stopped playing that level, I rented her to Polito, and then Barto bought her the year later, and she's out here now still playing with Nachi.
Cool. Where'd the name come from?
So we always name after the mother. So Summer was the mother, and I used to have a T-shirt as a kid that said the 3 S's of Summer: sea, sex, and sun. So that year I had 2 geldings that were sea and sun, and sex was the filly.
Brilliant.
And sex has had some great. We've got Shag, Roger, Bonk, and Nookie, and Hanky Panky. Yeah. And actually, Bonk's had her for Bonk's a 3-year-old, and I've just done an embryo last year, and Bonk's foal's called Whack. So you sort of it all relates around. And, but I tell you what, that makes it bloody easy when someone asks you, "Oh, what's this out of?" and you know straight away through the name. It helps. Yeah.
Kerry Board was very good at that at Elliston back in the day. She did amazing names. Hey, just talking about the female male ratio out of that mare there, sex. Her siblings. But with when you were 2008, could they I just want to talk about the numbers and sexing the embryos and that sort of thing. So 2008, you were getting all fillies then, or
2008? No, at that stage they hadn't started sexing the embryos, and that was in England. And we did those with Emma Thompson at Thompson Equine, who was sort of the first embryo sort of centre to open up in England. I'm trying to think there. I think that year, to be honest, I think happened everywhere. I think it was when can they work it out or not, but I ended up with I think eight geldings and two fillies that year. But and then Argentina, it went even stranger that year. At that stage, because we didn't have our own broodmares and things, so to speak, at that time, we were actually, you could go to people and you could buy unborn embryos, and then those embryos would be born at your farm under your prefix. So although technically inseminated or whatever and owned by someone else, when you buy them, if they're born at your farm, they can be born with your prefix and registered at your name. So I went to Ellistina and bought a few from them, a few unborn embryos from them. Just pure bad luck, but they all turned out to be colts, obviously. And then the same with Ironita. Again, I think I got one filly out of 21, 22 foals, but I think that was when they were just learning how to sex them out there, and they were.
What's their strike rate now?
Strike rate now. I actually stopped sexing ours here 2-3 years ago, but before that, I mean, we were always aiming for 50 fillies a year, and to be honest, you were aborting the males, which is pretty rank. I think it's 40-something days you could pinch them.
But but with the 50 fillies, if you scanned 50 as fillies, how many fillies did you get after the scanning? There must have been a bit of room for error, was there?
There's always room. So no, you'd end up sort of 70, 80. To be honest, in the history of lovelocks in England, we're just under, I think we're 204, 205 foals in England over the last 30 years since Dad did the first one in 91. And we're 196. 196 is total, and it's literally 96 to fillies to colts. So, you're 4 out, it being 50-50 over 30 years.
Wow.
Wow. We've never sexed them in England ever. It's just, amazing how it works.
That's amazing.
I've also had mares. I had a mare called Java, a Monty Suva mare that you might have remembered, Glenn, from Ellison. Yeah. And Jim basically kept her in Australia an extra year because he wanted to take embryos from her, and he only got colts. I took her to England. I only got fillies, and then I sent her to Argentina, and I only got colts for the first 2 years, and then started waiting, and then now because of the sexing things, it's fillies that were there. But she was like, I don't know if it's a northern and southern hemisphere issue, or if that could be relatable at all. It just seemed like an odd coincidence that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're sexing the embryo before they go in the mare nowadays? Are they? Do you know?
They can spin the semen, yeah. Spin the semen, and that gives you a better chance. I don't think it's quite as accurate as it could be. The most people over here, because there's not a cost in it, so to speak, because everybody has herds of hundreds of surrogate mares. It's a case of inseminate, keep going. Right, that's got a male in, that's got a male in, and you get a report sheet.
Yeah.
Which ones do you want to keep? Which ones don't you? And it's not the nicest way of doing it. It's probably why I've got 3 daughters.
I think that's good. I was going to say that's what I'm pretty convinced that's karma as well.
Yeah.
And you're saying that you stopped sexing them a couple of years ago. Was that a conscious thing, or?
To be honest, I never really liked the way they did it with that. I think that's not. It's sort of messing around a bit too much with it all. But actually, I then stopped doing the quantity. I mean, we were doing 50. We now do between 15 and 20 a year out here, and actually, I don't mind. To be honest, I'm quite enjoying colts at the moment. I've been sort of ridden. My string's been predominantly fillies most of my life, and then now I play 4 stallions between England and Argentina, and I think it's fun. Yeah, I really enjoy it.
Which one's the best?
Oh, I've got a great colt in England called Chekhov, who's great fun.
What's his breed?
Padrino Grappa Kearney.
Padrino, your main go-to stallion now?
Yeah. To be honest, you look at him and he probably looks a bit thick set. He's a big horse. He's very, very heavy. And he, as a sort of breeder in general with anything, you think, maybe you want something to be agile and everything else. Maybe he's too big, but he's just delivered and delivered and delivered. And it didn't matter what you put him over. They all seem to come through and play polo at the top level. He's got 23 playing the Argentine Open this year.
Wow.
And is flying. I mean, people are all over him.
That's awesome. What was his breeding?
He's Illusion Sportivo.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so
the Sportivos can get a bit heavy, yeah.
Yeah, but no, we broke him in the sense of he's broken, but we never played him, never stick and balled him or anything, just to break him to be quiet, and he's had a great life ever since, and he's I think last year in Argentina he'd covered. In Argentina last year, he'd done something 186, 189, somewhere there, and that was 2 years ago. And then last year he'd covered over 300.
Holy moly!
So yeah,
but
he's a busy boy.
Looking? Because the gelding's not having a big set of testosterone pumps between his back legs. They probably don't get heavy set like him, I would have thought.
No, not exactly. Not. I mean, the mares. I mean, you see these things. They're little tanks. They're seriously chunky things, and they do a bit heavy in the action and everything else. But they just, I don't know. They just seem to do it all. And the more you ask, they do it. And everyone.
You forgive them for anything if they're good enough.
Yeah. I mean,
cool.
And he's. I mean, just statistically, he's smashing it out the park.
Charlie, so I've got my own colt now that I'm flying around with, having a bit of fun. He's only a baby, but I've never dealt with colts. What are the 3 tips you can give me now that you've done, and for our listeners as well? You go off and you get them as a 3 and a 4 year old, and you're trying to play them. How do you keep them not wanting to go and shag all the mares on the side of the truck and behave out on them? What are the tips? I mean, temperament's obviously a big issue in colts, and sort of the main one. I mean, we've got a group of 3 here at the moment that we're trying to play them and see how they go at the moment. They're at that stage. They're now 3.5, 4, and plod along. We don't treat them any differently. Obviously, we keep them all together, which I think makes a difference. As soon as you separate one and leave him on his own, he gets lonely and he's always looking out and calling and things like that. Out of these 3, we've got one that when you go onto the field, he does whinny a bit more and looks at the mares a bit more than the others. But once they realise it's work there and then and that's that, they don't tend to bother with the mares. Then they go out on sets with the mares. In England, I've got 3 in my string out of 10
and they're on set every day alongside mares and don't even blink. But bizarrely,
Really?
if I took my my wife and I in March last year decided to go for a hack at the beginning of season. I said, "Oh, you guys take the 8 mares out to exercise. I'll take the 2 colts for a ride." And my wife was slightly nervous on the colt anyway because he does scream a bit. And they decided to kick the shit out of each other halfway around our hack. Yeah, I think it was the third of March or something, and I had a £5,000 vet bill and 2 very lame stallions, which was a great start to the season.
And not very happy
the boys,
wife.
if he gets a chance at the other boy, will go for it. But with the mares, they don't bat an eyelid.
There's something about spring as well, because spring just sort of lights them up.
Yeah,
the quietest stallion in the world can maul a foal in the spring that you would never ever normally touch a mare. Like there's such a like that time of year particularly. There's so many variables you can't really.
Love is in the air. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that warm weather just coming on.
Yeah.
Charlie, Glenn touched on it very briefly, started talking about sort of young horses and training. Can you just take us through what your young horse sort of program looks like and how you do it? And is it different in the UK to how you do it in Argentina?
So in the UK, obviously land is an issue in the sense that you in Argentina here, for example, we have a 500-hectare farm. So there's space, there's grass. You don't worry about turnout paddocks and things like that. In England, obviously, grass is limited. It gets wet. You bog up a paddock, and you're like, shit. Nothing can go in that for the next few weeks, whatever. So you have to managing of paddocks, etc. There makes a big old difference to the breeding. So I do less numbers. In England, I think the most we ever did in a year was 25. I now do between 5 and 10 a year in England, and actually now it's probably out of 2 or maybe 3 mares. Whereas before the 25 were probably out of 12 mares. So sort of we've worked out which mares work, which ones don't, and sort of gone down like that. But I've got a good team that work with me, James and Tom Byam, and then I've got Ollie Jones, and Harry Revel. Harry Revel's based up in Cowdrey, and Ollie Jones up in Cirencester. And so once the horses are broken in, at home, we break them at home with a guy that we've used all around the world, a guy called Charlie Agar. It's called Doma UK, and he breaks them all in for us, and then they have a bit of time off. Then they head out. They go up to Cowdrey, Hackdown Woods with Harry and James and all that lot up there, as well as when they're back. It's basically just putting miles on the back there, and then. When they're 4, they go up and start doing young horse chuckers up in Cowdrey with James and Harry Revel. Crack on there slowly, and then the next year at 5, they'll be playing tournaments with Harry quietly up in Cowdrey playing the logo, and Tom Byam and Ollie Jones do the same, and they'll do a season on them in the logo there, maybe 2, basically miles and experience on them. And then I normally then come in overexcited, having sort of seen something flying around Cirencester at his couch at some point, and go, right, that one, and that one. I need to sit on those. Let's go. And then I'll sort of say, right, I'd like to take that into my string for the next year, etc. And then I normally seal them for a bit, and then work out a new home for them. Try and sell them on. But no, I think it's really important in England with those guys. That they can go and play them in the logo, and they're playing lots. They're also playing 5-6 times a week sometimes, and it's just they don't ever sort of have the sort of out here. Sometimes it's a bit soft, and when you're playing young horse chuckers, no one touch anyone or whatever else. They get beaten up a bit in these logo games and things, and it's great for them. They come back really good. And no, we've had a lot of success, and it's all credit to my team. It's great. And then whereas out here in Argentina, similar sort of things, a lot of farm chuckers at the beginning, the first couple of years. We've got a good relationship with locals here, and they all bring their young ones around, and we do it here. And then we go off to there's a couple of local clubs, Puesto Viejo up in by Cañuelas, and then Araucaria here in Salvador Maria, and the boys will play all the 6, 8, 10, and 12 goal on them. And then again, I come in, and when they're just really peaking, steal all the good ones. But no, it's good fun.
That's the setup of Puesto. We went to Puesto Viejo in 2014 with Jeremy Baker. Is just a fantastic, just a great spot. Jeremy's
for us it's fantastic for us because, like I say, the horses they get beaten up, they get their first matches, and we sent them up there the other day, and for the first game of the horses, and suddenly you find out you're playing 4-2 goalers rather than sort of a slightly heavier handicap team one way or other, and suddenly 4-2 goalers slamming into the left right centre. The horses come back all a bit like, but actually it's
best thing for them.
It's the best thing for them. So no, it's good.
Yeah. Well, how long do they play for when they're after their first tournaments? Because we find with the ones that we take away, especially when I was at Elliston, and I started me thinking about it because I was always away at that time. But we do ours, and after about 4 weekends, they've mentally they're just like, right, I'm done, I'm toast. How long do you give them when you start?
No, so these horses come in at the beginning out here. They come in at the beginning of October, and they get fit there, and their first games will normally be end of October, somewhere there, and they will play probably competitive games. Probably 4 or 5 weeks there, and then come the beginning of December, they're ready to go out, and then they'll come back in.
What age were they? What did you say? What age were these?
These are the first lot that are playing. So this is
these
are the 5 to 6.
Okay.
And then they'll play that season, and then Argentina's great because you get that break there. So everyone finishes in December. They all go home for Christmas. And they come out end of January, beginning of February, and they play February, March, and go back out again. And it gives that break there where they're recovering to
2 seasons.
Play a few more. It gives them 2 seasons rather than the 1 a year, that you get in England.
So beneficial.
Yeah, it's that second season makes a massive difference.
Why do you think that is?
No, I think. To be honest, I think if we in general, I think as a polo world, leave horses in a field for far too long. You go and play 3 or 4 months hard in England. Some people obviously play a lot more, but as a rule, 3 or 4 months hard. Then you leave your horses in the field for 6 months. Then when you get them back in March, obviously, I just feel, especially when they're younger, you want to. Set the story. They need to learn it all, and if you leave them out too long, they come back in and take the piss basically. That second season really just sets them.
And they go out, they reset everything they learnt from the previous season. They go into the next season thinking like that's normal, like that's not new. Then you can build on that mentality again. Like there literally is 2 seasons in 1 year.
I think they mature. It's the best bet. They mature mentally, and physically. Actually,
remember what Harp said about definitely with the English season. He was very much like we should bring them back in like November, December for a month at least, get them work so they don't get too grotesquely fat. He thought that was what they should start doing a lot more. I know it's not easy, but
it's obviously a big extra cost and everything else. But no, it's funny. Every other sport, equine sport, you wouldn't ever even dream about leaving a horse in the field for 6 months.
No.
It's odd.
What's your stance on cloning?
We don't even do that in Norway.
What's your stance on? What's your stance on cloning, Charlie?
My stance on cloning, right? So I was asked this question about 6-7 years ago, and my answer then is totally different to what my answer is now.
Really?
Back then I said very much that my best horse 6 years ago isn't nearly as good as my best horse today, and that's through breeding and lines combining and things like that. So I felt that cloning was potentially standing still a little bit. I do believe that it is standing still. I think, maybe through breeding you can get a better horse than what you have. Obviously, Adolfo's proved most people wrong with the Quarter Terras that are still picking up prizes week in, week out. Quite clearly, an unbelievable talent. Does help that he's obviously riding them. But he has started sharing them out a bit now. You've got all the other players in both teams actually this year playing some of them. Yesterday, I think there were 7 or 8 clones between the two teams. I mean, it was amazing. I've ended up cloning in Australia, believe it or not. I did a deal with Catalina Equine where I sent them some bloodlines. So I've got yearlings on the floor. I've got 3 sexes and 2 padrinos in Australia, and then I've got 5 more in sort of pregnant at the moment, due to foal in Australia early next year. And yeah, it's bizarre. I was thinking about slowing everything up and down, and suddenly I end up on the other side of the world breeding horses. Bizarre, but no. Luckily, I've got Alec White's helping me out over there massively, and he's going to help look after all those ones until I can bring them over. I'll probably bring the Padrino clone to England this year to try and to have him here to breed, rather than sending frozen semen from Argentina. It's a bit more reliable. But no, I think it's amazing.
How have the clones bred on? Because they've got a lot of embryos out of clones these days, and they're cloning them and stuff.
So there's a sale on Thursday out here by a company called Doña Sofia that you would have seen a few of them. You've seen them in England and things. Adolfo plays a lot of them, but basically those guys went out and went to the top players and bought their mares or bought the rights to their mares and cloned them. And then, so they've got clones and all sorts coming through now. And they'll be selling a load next week. There's some pretty cool ones coming through there. But I think, in general, the clone breeding, certain lines have worked very well. I mean, they all work, they're stable, etc. But they're working. And you're now seeing, clone foals playing the Open. There's a lot of sires out and about now that are a clone and a clone, and they're fertile. So it's fascinating. But like I say, realistically, I think we probably are all standing still a little bit. Are we going to find the next Quarter Terra? Quarter Terra?
Yeah, that's true. But I think over the last sort of couple of years, I thought they were standing still, and all that, but now it's sort of like, well, actually, because everyone's using them so much in breeding, and like you say, they're cloning the geldings and getting stallions. I actually think it's going to have the impact on the field is already big, given what Cambiasso has done with the Quarter Terras. But I think the impact on the breeding, because if you've got a half a dozen Quarter Terras to get embryos out of instead of just one, just means you're going to get a lot more better breeds, and you're going to try to get the right stallion over them, because you know what it's like. You might put the wrong stallion over a mare 3 or 4 times before you get the right combination.
No, for sure. So you're helping your odds out, basically. You're lowering your odds.
Definitely. I think it's going to have a huge impact from the breeding perspective.
But I mean, we can see straight away now. I mean, and I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but if you look at Elestina, that didn't believe in cloning at the beginning, they've now changed their mind in cloning. But they've stood still, and I don't know if you guys have been watching this year's Open or last year's Open, but their breed that's always been up there and a sort of top breed is suddenly looking pretty average against these Quarter Terras hanging around, and Adolfo's breed is absolutely ever. Even Irianita's doing very well at the moment with their breeds. Obviously, it helps that they've got 3 teams or whatever in the Open, but the Elestina's breed is pretty quiet at the moment.
Yeah, just on what you're talking about.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Ross.
Sorry, just while we're talking about their horses, they've got Clark, haven't they? How's that horse gone down there?
Irianita have Clark, yes.
Yeah. How's he been as a stallion? Because I saw him. Did Progeny win some schooling competition? Or something in the spring?
They're now using him a bit. To be honest, I did a deal with Pablo McDonough. Would have been 4 or 5 years ago now. and I swapped him 20 Padrinos for 20 Clarks services one season, and I've got 20 Clarks in the. Yeah, they came back from the breakers last year, and to be totally honest, we're quite disappointed with how they came back, and not necessarily because of Clark, because we love Clark. The Clarks that we've had in England all play polo. They play polo well. They're nice. They move well and everything else. But I think just the braking system over here, maybe the Clark heads were maybe a bit more fragile than an Argentine stallion's head, for example, Padrino.
That's interesting.
And these things all came back a bit nervous and a bit sort of almost, a bit sketchy. And it's given us an extra bit of work trying to calm them all down.
Really?
And
Wow.
yeah, I think probably just a different temperament over the mares that maybe our breaker didn't quite get, or I don't know, but we didn't have a great success. I've got a few more there at the moment, the year group below, and yeah, having had a nice conversation with the breaker, I think hopefully this lot will be a bit calmer when they come back.
Can you walk us through the breaking in process while we're on that over there? Like, because it's very different to England and New Zealand, Australia.
So they believe over here, the way they do it is in England, our system is 6-7 weeks and then out. And then they get a re-ride probably 6 months later, to be honest. And over here, they take 6 months to break in the horse. And it's a lot slower. But at the same time, it's a lot quicker in the sense that at the beginning, they get on the horse quite quickly. They don't do as much groundwork as we would do in Europe or Australia, New Zealand. So they get onto the back of the horse quite quickly, and it's a case of nowadays it's changed, and I've noticed a big change over the last 15 years here, from sort of the slightly wrong sort of posting and tying them to posts and they'll work it out sort of thing, to I've seen people driving with the long reins and things on the floor here, and that's definitely improved over here. But no, they believe once you're on the back of the horse, get on it quickly and get going, and that's where you teach the horse everything. Whereas probably it was the Monty Roberts way, wasn't it, that they actually learn a lot on the ground before you need to get on. It's like learning to walk before you can run, whereas they seem to run quite quickly over here, and then the walk bit comes later.
Yeah. So they're in. So over 6 months, they don't stay in 6 months, do they? They come in and out, or
no? They're yeah. It's but they all living out and everything else, and they'll do 3 months hard, probably a month off, and then another 2-3 months before. But they do come back to you. So we'll send these off, and they'll come back to us. You can get on them and play young horse chuckers. They've done the stick work.
Neck reining, they've had a stick.
Yeah, exactly. There's neck exactly. So they take them further than we do in a 6-week break in England. Obviously, they see a stick and they stick and ball a bit in the last week there, but you wouldn't be able to get back on it and go and play chucker. We take a bit longer there. So yeah. But hey, I mean, horses over here is the way of life, isn't it? I mean, they all know how to ride horses before, it's amazing driving through the towns and things. Kids of tiny ages hooning around on these things. Yeah, that's great.
Charlie,
I think it's time for us. All go, Nick. You go.
No, you go, Glenn.
I think it's time for Charlie to talk us through the 2018 Gold Cup win with your mates.
I was going to say this. I was going to say exactly the same thing. I am so excited to hear this, how the whole thing just unfolded, because it was brilliant to see, absolutely brilliant to watch. So talk us through it.
Can you guys hear me all right? Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, you were just bouncing a bit there. No, so amazingly, obviously we made the final in 2017, and that was our final year there, and we'd sort of said that was what we were doing it to. The boys' contracts that we had them on all were running out, done, end of 2017, and we sat down, my parents, myself, and said, should we give it one more go? We were so bloody close. Last chance, not doing it again. Let's do one more year at it. So that was end of the summer 2017. So we got the boys all back together and said, right, well, one more go. March 2018, I sent an email to everybody that worked for us on the farm at Manor Farming that we'd rented in Cowdrey. I said, right, the lease is up on the place at the end of this summer. We're not going to renew it. We are literally finishing here. So we have Brett, our team manager, that managed the yard and things. We told him, come the end of the season, there's no longer a job. We're gonna end here. This will be our last go at it. So that was an interesting one. We had up on the board there in the coffee room the amount of games left from Queen's Cup to the Gold Cup final the whole way through. We had a shocking Queen's Cup. We won very well against Clinova, I think it was, Nico Perez, and then we then lost our next few games, and yeah, morale was terrible. I don't know. I was there sitting there going, shit, I shouldn't have told them all it was the last season. Everyone's miserable. This is crap. Like, mate, this was really, really bad man management on my part. I've screwed up here. Shit, what are we going to do? This is going to be so depressing. It's going to be our last ever go, and we're going out in the quarters, before the quarters. So I actually took everybody. We finished the Queens early. Had a good week at Ascot racing. Blew a few cobwebs out there. And then I said to everybody, right, guys, golf. We're going to play golf in Cowdrey. None of us are great golfers. None of us are regular golfers out of that lot. But we all met at Cowdrey Clubhouse. We had a couple of golf buggies. It was a team and Russo, and we had a couple of cool boxes of beers. And we went and played 18 holes around Cowdrey. Had a really good laugh, all taking the piss out of each other, everything else. And that was that. Man management nailed again, and everyone was happier again. So we went into the first game to the Golden, dead on the board in the tack room. 6 games to go till the end of El Remanso, basically, and then it went 5, 4, 3, shit 2. Oh my god, we're actually at the bloody final. And then so it was like almost like fate. Do you know what I mean? How once you've set something like that and you just work away to it, it's gonna happen again this year. You wait. Lionel Messi, if he plays every game of the World Cup final will be his 1000th professional game.
No way.
The trophy he's missing as captain of Argentina in the World Cup final could be his 1000th game. I reckon my money's on that happening. No, so something like that is just weird how it just worked out. And then, obviously, for me, it meant absolutely everything. Obviously, mum and dad and the Cudmore's dream as pony club parents. I'm sure every pony club parent says it, but we then went and bloody did it. Obviously for me, mum and dad had put absolutely everything into the sport, and to me individually and my brother, and to finally got it done for them, for me, was absolutely everything. Proudest
people at Cowdrey that day, the noise and the love for you guys was it's something that you just can't, like, you made a family of that whole Cowdrey.
No, we had a great time when we were at Manor Farm there, and we were there for I think 5 years, and we had a great time. All the locals, we were always big believers of trying to support everything locally, so we supported the local bar there and the Faustinos massively, and but we knew most of the bloody village. So come the final, they were all there. No, it was a very, very special day.
Yeah, it was a real fairy tale.
You mentioned Russo. Can you walk through his impact on the team as a coach?
Do you know what? I suppose he would have been one of the sort of first, obviously John Hall was one of people coaches back in the day, but Russo he weirdly sort of fell into the organisation by mistake almost. That you had 1 year Pelon got injured on Ambersham 1, and Russo was sort of come to help coaching anyway. We got him on, and the poor buggy had to wear Pelon's shirt, and couldn't have been tighter. So we bullied Russo for the whole rest of the. That was it. He still gets picked on about it. There's a photo that wanders around our WhatsApp groups.
Brutal.
So he came in there and played that game, and then we sort of said, look, actually, you know what? It's bloody useful having someone on the outside that sees what we don't see, and also that keeps. when we played with Pelon, Torreira and my brother and I, it helped that Pelon wasn't destroying us, screaming at us. Pelon would talk to Russo would talk to us on the field, and it would work out a relationship that it never questioned Pelon. Pelon, to be honest, is the nicest man in the entire world, and was never a guy that would sort of start screaming and shouting. But it meant he never had to. If there was a mess up or a mistake, it was you got a bollocking from Russo. You didn't get a bollocking on the field from Pelon. You waited between chuckers, and the way he managed it was very good. And he helped massively with helping out with horse lists and guys. That one I know you love, but actually that one is the one you're scoring all your goals on. That's the one you need to put in there and switch it around here and there. And yeah, it was great to have him. Penalty advice with the boys. He'd go and sit and hit penalties with us all. He played chuckers with us all. No, I count him, and he's a good mate. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. There's a bit of a recurring theme for you, Charlie, from everyone that have spoken about you, and they talk about you being the best teammate that you could actually have. You never blame anyone. Great attitude, and you just wanted to be mates playing together. Is that really is that something that you just really strive to do with everyone?
No, I think that yeah, to be honest, we were always in situations that we were fortunate enough to be able to play with people we got on with. I thought the year we actually ended up with Barmy Harps and Ollie. Ollie's grew up as a best mate, and it just so happened that handicaps kept working with him and with us, and to be able to play the sport that we all absolutely adore is made 10 times better if you can do it with people you like. And it happens that at the time that we were playing with them, it worked out handicap wise, and actually they were all good on their handicaps at the time. Everyone always said, "Oh, did you go all English?" Because it was all English here. It probably did have a slight impact there. My old man, he always liked to help support the English players, but actually we all fitted, and we felt that they were the best sixes at the time,
and in the right positions too.
Yeah, exactly, and it just worked. I mean, we were unbelievable that it worked like that. But no, I can't sort of say stronger enough that playing with mates is as you guys all know, is it makes it a lot easier, a lot more fun. And you tend to go and complete fairy tales that you don't think you do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It helps.
I read an article.
Who's your guys' fourth player in the NRG podcast polo?
Charlie Hanbury. You're in.
No, guys, come on, Pelon. You can take Pelon. I wouldn't defend. I saw he was.
Okay.
It depends, Charlie. It depends what level we're playing at. To be honest, we've got the, whether or not we're doing the 12 goal or the 16, 22. Whether or not we're gonna have a back at the
in Norway.
Well, if you need a fourth player and anything, I'm in.
Good man.
We're gonna hold you. We will hold you.
Yeah, I know. You'll stitch me up at some point. You'll be like, shit.
I read an article, Charlie. It said 3 pieces of advice from you. 1, live life to the fullest. 2, be loyal. And the third one, which I'm still not sure how this works. Oh, you got one of the kids with you?
Sorry, I've just got a little one. Can you
hello. Is that good?
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
This is Cressida.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Right, off you go.
What a gorgeous little blonde girl. So the third one, Charlie, which I don't really understand, but you'll have to explain it. Don't borrow a scooter man's moped and drive it down the pavement in front of the police.
Oh, yeah. That was a shocker. 2012, I was playing with Enigma, with Jerome Worth, and we had a great fun evening after a game. We lost to Dubai on the Queen's Ground at Cards. We had a bit of a touch up, and RGI Capital, who were the sponsor that year of Enigma, had the sort of Cartier tent on the corner of the number 1 ground there, and had a big party in there afterwards. So we hit that fairly hard, then ended up going into London. We'd all been given a Range Rover to go to each game in. So I got my mate to drive me into London, and ended up at some sort of party somewhere. And Jerome had said, "See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow afternoon for a team meeting, whatever. Have a great night out. Go and blow off some steam. Don't get arrested." And sort of we laughed and joked, and anyway, off we went. Anyway, turns out I was heading to a nightclub from some other party I'd been at, and realised I was too drunk to drive. So I called this company, Scooter Man, in London, and this nice guy rocks up on this little scooter that folds up and goes in your boot of your car, and he drives you where you need to go.
Oh, right.
So he drove me off to the nightclub that we were all heading to, and paid the guy 70 quid. And as I was getting his scooter out the boot with him, I said, "God, this thing's cool." So I sort of sat on it, and he showed me how it worked. And I drove down the road, and I went, "I'm going into the nightclub." I knew the guy on the door of the nightclub and was like, "Right, I'm going to go in." And I then realised, don't be an idiot. You get in trouble for that. So turned around, went round my car, and gave it back to the guy. Anyway, there I am. And suddenly 3 guys grabbed me and threw me up against the car and said, "You're under arrest." I said, "What do you mean I'm under arrest? What have I done?" They said, "Well, you can choose. You've stolen a motorbike. You've ridden a motorbike on the pavement. You've ridden it down the middle of the road. You haven't got a helmet. You haven't got a license.
Oh, no.
And you're drunk." And I was like, right, okay. And so my mates were all sort of like pissing themselves, going, "Not a chance in hell could that happen." So anyway, I give them my car keys, and I get taken off to the police station, where I am locked up for the night, spend the night in the cell, let out at 7 a.m. the next day. And I lost my driving license for 14 months. Even the judge, when I was finally in court, just burst out laughing and just said, "You've got to be the unluckiest person in the world." It's like, great. So I had to go to the bloody team meeting the next afternoon with not only the dreadful hangover, having sort of slept for about half an hour on sort of a bench in a police station, police cell. Had to then sort of explain to Jerome that the lovely Range Rover that he's given me, he can actually have it back. So yeah, that was not a good one, not a good night.
Oh my God.
Very sound advice. Very sound advice.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't borrow a scooter man's moped and drive it down the pavement in front of the police. Yeah, there you go. That's the third one. I like that.
There you go.
I like that.
Oh, can you tell us one other little story about Dave Miller having to help you out just before a Gannon game?
Ollie's really stitched me up here, isn't he?
He was actually wrong.
I would have been 17 and 18, my brother and I, and we had a Gannon final in Cowdrey the next day. Had a slight we were in Cirencester that night. We're driving up the next day for it, and we had a slight disagreement in a nightclub with some locals. And my brother and I ended up getting arrested. We chucked into the cell in Stroud police station that night. And the next morning, it's like, shit, we've got to get to Cowdrey for 2:00. And, it's now 8, it's now 9. How the hell are we getting out of here? So rang my housemate, Dave Miller. He somehow he managed to. We ended up getting let out with a caution and a warning. He picked us up and we're straight to Cowdrey. They delayed the kickoff by about throw it by half an hour or something. Everyone's on the pitch, heroes of the Pony Club weekend for.
Straight from the police station.
Yeah, you can imagine everyone enjoyed that at Pony Club. other than my parents, who were just like,
I was going to say,
how on earth has this happened? Yeah.
Fantastic.
Cool.
That is cool.
Charlie, so thanks, Ollie, for that.
Yeah. Sorry about that. That was Ollie.
Hang on.
Go on, Moscow.
I've got a few more horse things. Mate, we caught up briefly at the castle ground there at Guards, and you mentioned how you moved a few horses on this summer, which I was absolutely, completely and utterly blown away by, because I know the numbers and the statistics and what sort of horse you need. Can you run us through that?
Yeah, so every year, so I sort of come out this season to Argentina now, so I'll be here for 6 weeks in total now, and I'll be trying sort of the 6 to 7 year olds, and I like to bring them then because the other ones, there's if you give them the extra time over here, it makes a massive difference. So I take those ones over to England, and I got quite lucky quite early on. Polito Perez bought a mare called MacBook, Lovelock's MacBook, who since has actually, she broke her leg in the winter just now a couple of weeks ago.
Oh no!
So no shocker there, but that was that one. I managed to sell to Cambiasso a mare called Lovelock's Mirage, who's a Nutbush, by Nutbush, and that's pretty special. Really clever little mare. I think to be honest, I think they're all going to make an appearance here next year. Was the boys' plan. That's Perotto certainly, that he'd bring it out to Argentina for the 2023 Open, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
I think it is just funny. Obviously, it's quite difficult for me to get horses completely set at the 22 goal level in England when I'm playing the lower goal stuff, and a run down Ivy Lodge in the 8 goal isn't quite a full tilt down the Queen's Ground in the 22. So obviously to try and so they slowly sort of grow on them and they get better and better as they go. But so that's a smart one, Mirage. Then 2 full sisters, Padrino Javas. One's called Sumatra and one's called Krakatau. Krakatau went to Barto and Sumatra went to Pelon. So that was exciting. It's cool to have those guys calling you asking for horses.
Nice.
Fortunate now that I've done a good I've got a good relationship with those guys. And they trust me if I call them and say, hey, I've got a horse for you, which makes a difference as well, because I've been at the other side of that when you're trying to get hold of people saying, I've got a horse for you, and they're like, yeah, and you sort of brushed off a bit. Nowadays, no, it's worked really well. I've got a good relationship with them, and thank God, they seem to be working for them.
Those sales in 1 year is just like so impressive. Like
we were lucky.
It speaks volumes for the operation, the breeding program.
To be honest, though, like I think obviously the genetics and is one massive side of it. But I think when you've got the right team behind you and everything works, it's easier for those stars to appear. And no, luckily we had a really nice year last year, and hopefully a few more to come.
And they were all 6-year-olds or 7?
6 is rising 7, so they would have been 7 in August.
7 in August.
Yeah.
Southern Hemisphere 7 in August.
Yeah.
Who was Nutbush? What was that horse you just mentioned?
Nutbush is Tango Hermitage. And,
right. Cool.
So when I set up the Lovelocks breed over here in Argentina, my idea was to basically try and incorporate the best genetics in the world. So I went to Elliston in Australia, and obviously I had a few mares from them already that we'd played over the years and things like that. And I bought a few of those out here to breed from. I then went to got some stallions from Elliston in Australia. I bought 3 stallions over. I bought Botox, which is Wrinkle Revenue, Nutbush, which was Tango Hermitage, and Christian, which was Angel America.
Angel.
And so those 3 came over here, and I started to cover all the Argentine mares that I was buying from Ellistina, La Dolfina, La Anita, and with the hope of basically, combining the best that you could find in the world. And no, we had some great success, and now you're really sort of seeing them coming through. The stallion side of it, they were all quite nervous over here at the beginning, the Argentines, and were like, no, I'm not touching that, And I went, I know that the Perez's love Wrinkle, and Wrinkle did well in Australia, and they all enjoyed playing her and everything else. But when I suddenly said, I've got a son here that you can use, they were like, no, we're sticking to it. They weren't. And now it's slowly that you had a few more people using them and actually going, okay, wow, it's working. So it's been a long project, as you guys know. It's not a short-term thing. We started
2008, 2022, and these results. I reckon you've done
Not
it
long.
quicker than anyone else.
I
reckon you're ridiculously fast.
I think no, my old man was a massive believer. If you were going to do something, do it properly, and he drilled it into all of us. And no, so incorporating these genetics and spending the money early to bring stallions over and fly mares and things over for us to sort of start our genetic pool was massive, and it's obviously now, like as you say, the results are coming.
Yeah.
I just want to tie in this Tango, who Charlie was just mentioning. Grizz used to play her. Glenn.
Yeah. So Nutbush is a full brother to Mambo that's being used in Elliston. Yeah. So I've got a bunch of my Mambo myself. Yeah.
How are they getting on?
Kiwi, she was a Kiwi.
Yeah, good, mate. My best 4-year-old is by him. They had a couple of others that are really nice, easy horses. Yeah. So, and the Elliston seem to have a couple of nice ones by him as well. So it's good.
Perfect. Good stuff.
Apparently they're very straightforward. Is that right?
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
How's your side go?
Can be quite stubborn at the beginning. Results wise, I've got a nice one I'll be taking to England this year. And obviously that one that's gone to Parotto's smart.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Glenn, have you got any more questions for Charlie?
No, I think that just the only thing, Charlie, you've touched so many times about your father, and you've said in those interviews, in some of your stuff, that he was your hero, and it's such a cool thing to have Lovelocks still going, and it's such a tip of the hat to your father and yourself. Congratulations from
thank
us.
you. Yeah, no, it's for me, family's the most important thing, and to try and continue something we all set up together, me, my brother, and dad. It's fun, and to see it still going and appearing, in the open and things. Yeah, he'd be thrilled. So no, it's good. Thank you.
Yeah, and it was it's great. Coming from the low girl side of things. What you and your brother and your dad achieved has always been sort of something that everybody's always, the sort of the amateurs have always looked up to as this absolute sort of dream, and what you've done is just incredible. So absolutely.
I think it was I think we probably ended up, we were sort of living my old man's dream, and what he wished he had been able to do, and he was suddenly in a position to be able to help George and I do it, and absolutely loved it. So no, it's cool with the whole horses, and the whole family are all so involved in it. No, it's great.
Do the girls love horses?
Yes, currently got. It's funny out here at the moment. I can't remember the last time I bought a horse until this summer, where I bought a 21-year-old wind-sucking gelding. It is totally and utterly bomb-proof, and the girls absolutely love it. And he's in a little paddock, so no one else can see him. Wind-sucking very nice, and he's treated like a complete king compared to all mine on the yard. It's but yeah, he's bomb-proof, and even our 1.5-year-old rides are on her. So it's great.
That's the most expensive horse on your farm.
I produced these three sort of kid ponies here the other day. No, we want Digger from England. I'm sorry. No. We're riding these for the next 6 weeks. Digger will be there when you get
this is what
Roski had a point.
I can't remember. I got too swept up in that good story.
The old goldfish. The old goldfish is gone. The Jack Russell chasing the butterflies just left the building. Well, I think we've asked all of the questions. Charlie, you've answered. Oh, here we go.
I got one more. Who's going to win the Open, mate? You're in Argentina.
Oh,
you're
yes.
Here we go. Prediction.
It's a tough one. I've been watching all the games out here. I went to Palermo the other day. I took the whole family with me and managed to watch one chukker before the kids started running down the stairs, and had to go and take them to watch a bouncy castle. And I missed Fran Elefelde score the sort of goal of the tournament so far on one of my horses. And I was like, shit, everyone was screaming and calling me. Did you see that goal? I was like, no, I'm at a freaking bouncy castle with a girl behind the grandstand. But no, it's the Open's been interesting. I think obviously Ellistina, I think I don't know what's happened there. I think that's that I imagine would be the end of that team for this season. And yeah, they'll probably all go their own ways or however they do it. It's La Dauphine or La Natividad that's going to go and win it in my eyes. It's tough because there are a few games that are easy. And I say easy. You have a few easier games and you have a few tougher games, and the tougher games are just coming. And it's having had a couple of easy ones. The La Natividad are going to be alert enough to go for a tough game again, if you see what I mean.
Totally.
I find it fascinating that those guys have scored, I think, 46 goals in 2 games in Palermo, and then the game the next day is like 10-9 or something. And no one, there was a 6-9 the other day, and yet they're scoring 25 goals on the ground the day before. It's just fascinating how talented those boys are. There's a soft spot for me saying that I'd love to see Adolfo make history with his son.
Yeah.
That for me would be incredible to watch. I've got the team with the most horses I have is La Natividad. They got 4 horses in the team sheet, so that's obviously a factor. The horse I would like most likely to be winning a prize somewhere around there would be Lovelock's Drogba with Barto, and the way he's playing at the moment, it's a possibility. So yeah, let's say La Dauphine, La Natividad final, won by La Dauphine, but best player pony Drogba with Barto. There you go.
There we go. We want you on the podium with your champion pony. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Amazing.
With anyone. That's the dream on the list to do. Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's funny though, isn't it? Like, obviously, when I started playing all the high goal, I used to hate watching other people playing my horses and hated lending them to people. And then when I stopped playing in 2018, I then suddenly realised, you know what? You want your horses to be playing with the best players in the world on the biggest stage in the world, and I get just as much thrill out of that now. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love getting on a horse in the 8 goal and flying around absolutely everyone being like, wow, what was that? But actually, when you're watching the 10 goalers doing it in the Open, it's cool. And yeah, fingers crossed it will continue to happen.
Yeah, amazing. Roscoe, any more points from you?
Random Ross moments? No, that's all great. Thanks so much for your time, mate.
Thanks.
It's been nice. I've had 2 hours without 3 kids for a while.
Well,
I might sit in here for another hour and tell them, no, still sorry.
I'm still talking to them. Well, look, thank you so much, Joe. It's been absolutely brilliant to chat to you and get your insight. I've got it written down here that I think it was at 1 hour and 2 minutes of the podcast, you've thrown your name in the hat for the to be the 4th member of the NRG team. So we've now got evidence. We've now got evidence that has to happen now. I mean, it's got to happen. So
perfect.
That'd be awesome.
We can at least get a practice and team those, Ross. Come on, sort something out.
Yeah.
Actually, that's doable. Yeah.
Don't get me to it. I'm actually getting.
Actually, it's going to be possibly very doable next year. Actually.
Yes, I'm coming to hopefully see my son play over there. And you've had a bit of a chat with Lachlan over there, Charlie.
Yeah, he's on good form. I took a horse for Heta the other day, a couple of days ago. Yeah. And sat and watched the practice.
Diving off.
So you heard it here first.
Sorry, does Lockie look like he's doing any work, or is he actually skiving off?
No. He was on good. He was on good form. We had a good catch up on the back of a pickup watching a practice. No, I think I think polo's probably dried up a bit for him with the boys obviously now full swing of the Open. But he was on good form, and it's cool to sit with someone and watch a practice like that.
I like that Glenn's asking if Lockie's doing any work. Lockie's been asking me, is Glenn doing any work on my future horses at home?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Here we go.
Right,
Been
we're done,
a,
boys.
been a friendly father-son ride, but that's killed the atmosphere there. I can see Glenn's face. I'm gonna kill him.
They went down like a lead balloon.
Yeah, didn't it? on that bombshell. I think we'll close that out. Charlie, that's been absolutely awesome. Thank you so much. And it'd be great to catch up again, maybe after the Argentina. If Drogba does win an award and your prediction does come true, we would love to have another chat with you. That'd be amazing.
No worries. Guys, thanks very much for having me. Let's hope it comes true.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much. Cheers, Charlie.
Thanks, mate.
Guys, cheers. Take care.
Charlie.
Thanks.
Cheers,
Thanks.
mate.